Okay. This is already recording, so I can try this. Pause. Okay, want to welcome us all?
Yes, yeah, sure.
All right. Well, thank you all very much for being on time and up early on the web first thing Monday morning. We really appreciate it. We were considering all the different times to do this, and with Thanksgiving this week, we thought this would be the best time. Let's just jump in 2 feet first for Monday morning. My name's Hailey.Wright. If we haven't met, nice to meet you, E. And Danika and I both work for United General District 304. We are a public hospital district, and we receive different grants for many different things. And we have been working on the YEMPEP grant for, I think, 4 years now. Alyssa started here. And we've been working on the youth section and youth engagement for the last 2 years. Beth Ruth, who also works with us, really kind of started this, and Danika and I have kind of jumped in at the tail end of doing the training together.
Yes.
I'll let Danika introduce herself.
So we can probably just, there we go. I think I actually know everyone on the call, so I don't need to do too many introductions. I guess there's going to be people watching the web, the recorded version. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Danika. Work here with Hailey. And let's see, I've done a few of these trainings in the past, or similar trainings in the past, and absolutely love working with youth. I've worked with youth in the kind of different capacities as a coach and all sorts of different things. So I'm really excited to be on this journey with you all. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yes, we are both really excited, and we get to work together, which is always fun. Oh, we just had one more join. Good morning, Waylon. We're just doing introductions and kind of talking about peer-to-peer a little bit. So many of you, if you've attended the YEMPEP meetings, we've been talking about this peer-to-peer training. Beth, as I said before, really kind of helped develop the curriculum. She used a lot of inspiration from Tattoo and One Voice and other different curriculums and developed this. And then her and I did a pilot training last year with Cedar Woolley Youth. And this is kind of pilot 2.0. We are not the experts. You are all the experts. And so please, we are happy to hear feedback throughout the entire time. We want this training to be culturally relevant. As you'll see, kind of as we're talking about the training and the day of, you will be developing your own presentation as a group to make it relevant for the populations that you're presenting to. So please give us feedback throughout the entire time. You guys are the ones who are the experts, and we're just here to learn alongside you.
Yeah, I see us really as the people who are just in charge of organizing and putting all of this stuff together, but really we need your feedback to really make this a great program. And we know that there is a ton of experience of, I mean, Christine has been doing this work with youth for a long time, and I know Shayla has been doing Tattoo for a long time. So we don't want to come across as we're the experts on peer-to-peer education. So please join with us on this process. Okay.
We would love to hear from you all. We will say your name just so we don't have everyone kind of jumping in at different times. And then when you hear your name, if you could share the organization or school that you work with, your experience working with groups on peer education, and the age of the group members that you anticipate who will be coming with you, and then the experience of your group. Just if you've been together for many years or if you're a brand new group, we want to hear kind of who's planning on attending, and then we can go from there. So Colleen, if we could hear from you.
Okay, hold on, let me see. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I'm Colleen. I'm an SAP at the Educational Service District 189, and I work at South Woodby High School. I acting have probably 9 through 12 years. And what was the other?
Oh,
One more.
Colleen, I think we're losing you. Colleen, I'm going to put you on mute and we'll come back to you and hopefully you'll have better service. Sorry about that.
Okay, Christine.
Hey, Christine, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you introduce yourself and your group and all of that?
Yep. I'm Christine Valdez. I'm the student assistance counselor, or PI, or I don't know what I am, at LaConner Middle and High School. And I've been doing this work since the mid-1990s or so. I have an active group at the middle school, and as they age up, I'm hoping to have a high school group too.
Awesome.
And I've done tattoo and all the different iterations of tattoo.
Great. Well, we hope to get lots of ideas from you of how this can be successful and ideas for improvement.
And thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Christine.
Catherine.
Oh,
Sorry, Catherine, we're unmuting you.
there we go.
There we
There.
go.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm Catherine. I am on Lopez Island, kind of one of the San Juan islands, but I actually work for United General 304 with Danika and Hailey. And we have had a group for a while. This is my first year, but I want to say at least 5 or 6 years of a student group, kind of combined middle and high school. And just really excited about this opportunity and what you guys are doing. And I think we'll have, 3 to 5 students attending the training.
Great. Are they middle school, high school?
Mostly high school. I think
Perfect.
Our aim is to be teaching, kind of like what you guys are saying, is teaching the middle school students. So it'll be all high school. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks for being here, Catherine.
Stephanie, we're going to unmute you.
Good morning. I'm Stephanie Morgridge with United General District 304. I'm also the Concrete Resource Coalition Coordinator. And I've been working with the CPP, the Concrete Prevention Posse youth group up in Concrete, for the last about 4 years. Chris Kennedy started the group, I want to say, in about 2013. So it's been established for a while. We've had a lot of kids grow up and graduate. So we have a core group of sophomore and junior girls right now as part of the group, and I most likely will be the one attending the training.
Yay, that's going to be great. Thanks for being on the call, Steph.
Yeah.
Good morning, Waylon.
Good morning. Am I unmuted? Yeah. Good morning.
Yes, you're unmuted.
So I'm Waylon Sheridan, and I work with the Mount Baker School District. I have an active youth group right now. Their name is One Baker Voice with a hash.
Oh, love. I like that.
And they're at the senior high, but it's a junior high campus also. We don't currently have junior high students, but we do invite them.
Perfect.
Most of our youth are juniors and freshmen, so I'm hoping that we can reach out to some 7th and 8th graders this as the year goes and through this to see if we can fill in some of the age range and get a little bit from everybody. I have a little bit of experience in my past with other stuff too, but not necessarily with curriculum that's more of an unwritten curriculum.
Yeah.
And then, so we've looked at the Youth to Youth Dover pamphlet, and we've kind of played with some of the templates.
Oh, excellent.
Dove into it, mainly because we do want the marijuana prevention material.
Yes.
And we're just finishing some of our planning for our projects. So.
Right on. Well, that's really great background because a lot of this is based off of some of the principles of the Dover Youth to Youth manual. So thanks for being here, Waylon. All right.
Jada. Oh, still muted. Sorry. Oh, there we go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Danika.Troupe, and I work at Cedar Valley School District, and I am a co-coordinator for our coalition with Danika. And I am here. Yeah, whoop whoop. I'm here today just to learn more about how I can support our group and our advisors. So I'm mainly here as like on an administrative level on ways that I can jump in and help them. So it is at the senior high level, and that's about all I have.
Wonderful.
Thanks,
So glad you're on
Jada.
the call, Jada.
Thank you.
We had a couple people just join us, so we'll catch you up. We're just doing introductions of the group. So if you could share the organization or school that you work with, your experience working with groups on peer education, the age of the students that you think you'll be bringing with you to the training, and then if you have any experience with tattoo or One Voice or any similar peer education trainings, we would love to hear from you about that, because as we were saying before, we are not the experts in this. You as the adult advisors definitely are the experts. So Shayla, if we could hear from you, that would be wonderful.
Shayla, are you there? Okay, we'll try coming back to Shayla.
We have a 298 number. We aren't sure.
Good morning. It's
Yeah, go
Julie
ahead.
Pinardi on Orcas Island.
Oh, yay. Welcome, Julie.
And you'll probably mute me back again after I talk, right? Because
Yes, correct.
I'm in the ferry landing, so I will be very disruptive and I can't mute myself.
That's totally fine. Yeah.
You can.
I am super excited about this training. I am from Orcas Island High School. I work currently and have for several years worked for as an advocate for Next Generation, which is a high school leadership group.
Ooh.
I've had tattoo training and been a tattoo trainer in the past. I've been just for my youth. And then I took the One Voice training, and I was a member of SAD, Students Against Destructive Decisions. There's been a lot of training that's come my way, and this book, the One Voice Youth to Youth Peer piece that you guys brought to us, is by far the best material that I have ever received for our youth. And I am so thankful to all of you guys. I just love it. And I'm super excited to see what about the presentation, and I'm bringing all freshmen. Woohoo!
Wow.
All freshmen. Okay. That's great.
Is that all you need?
Yeah, that was great. Julie, we will definitely be using your expertise, I hope, a lot. Or drawing, using is not a good word. Drawing from your expertise a lot over this process. So we're really glad you're a part of it.
Oh,
okay. So it looks like Shayla, her audio was not working, so I will read this for everyone. Shayla is with the Upper Skagit Tribe. They have tattoo members and have been working with the education program that has an established group for the last 3 years. So again, this is what we say, like, you all are the experts on this. So Shayla, thank you so much for being here. Really hope that we can use all of that experience to make this program even better. So really glad that you're here. Thanks for chatting that in. Okay, and I think this number, 632-577. Yeah, who's at the number 632-5779?
this is Lori.
Oh,
From South
Lori.
Whidbey.
Great, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Lori, and I'm from South Whidbey as a coalition coordinator. I have to be by phone this morning, which I'm having a little bit of audio challenges. I missed half of what was just said because I'm on my way to Anacortes. So.
Okay, well, we're glad that you're here. Do you know what ages you're going to be bringing to the group or to the training?
I don't.
Okay, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Totally fine. We're really glad that you're here, Lori.
Thank you.
Okay, we should try Colleen one more time, see if we can get her.
Okay, yeah. And I'm sorry if I lose you guys again because I'm about to get to the school where I know I'll lose service.
We've got
So
you
I'll
right
go
now.
quickly. My name is Colleen. I'm the what?
Sorry, you're good right now. We can hear you just fine.
My name is Colleen. South Woodby High School. I work with middle schoolers. We are going to bring high school to this training. Probably definitely ninth graders, maybe a couple seniors that are kind of on the. So I'm going to say that night is kind of where we're going to come with. Our group is new. I'm relatively new to peer-to-peer education, but I know that Lori and I have talked about over a week to use. A little bit more about this. And yeah, I think I answered everything. Did you get it?
Yep, we got most of it.
Perfect.
Yeah, you and Lori will be working together, and then you've got high schoolers, mostly ninth grade, but also hopefully some seniors.
Yes.
And you're pretty new to peer-to-peer. So great, so glad to have you here, Colleen. And I think we just had our last participant we were expecting. Angie, looks like you are unmuted. Angie, do you mind introducing yourself to the group? I wonder if you're having the same problems as Shayla. We can't hear you, Angie, so I'm just gonna let the group know that you are working with Shayla with the Upper Skagit Tribe, part of that Rockstar group that has been doing tattoo for the last 3 years as part of group education. So thank you for being on the call. Thanks for being here. This is a really awesome group of people. Okay.
For those of you who were not able to access your audio, if you have questions throughout this, please feel free to type in the chat box, and Danika and I will do our best to be checking that and answer questions along the way. So
yeah. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of all of this. So we sent everyone an email today. I hope you all got it, that had several attachments and also the link to the manual. So we realize that this manual is not necessarily right now in the most user-friendly form right now. And there's still gonna be a few changes that we make. We have some ideas for some modules we wanna add. So this isn't final yet. This is pilot 2.0.
it's a sneak peek.
It's a sneak peek, but there are some things on the manual that you will need to know, where they are, how to get to it, because there's some things that we would like you to do before the training that you can find on the manual. So I'm going to show you a little bit of that manual, just so you get a sense of how to get around. Oh, let me pull it up. Okay. So this is kind of what the manual looks like. We have several documents in here that you will need to access even before the training. We've also emailed some of those things out. Let's see, we just got a chat. Yes, and the slides for this have been emailed to everyone. So these are the different folders that you'll find either modules or different information. For example, we're going to talk about peer educator responsibilities. So if you go to, in your manual, sample materials, peer educator responsibilities will be there. So that's basically how this manual looks. Just know that the day of the training, you will be getting a hard copy of the manual along with the USB with all of the documents. That's going to be much more user-friendly. But this is to give you access if you want to kind of get a head start in the game, start going through some of those modules ahead of time. I think that's it for the manual for now, but we'll get into the manual a little bit more throughout this call. Okay. So we have a long list of training requirements, and we did send out a pre-training checklist, and we're kind of this call is mostly to go over a lot of those requirements on that pre-training checklist. So you should have that in your email, but again, we're just going to be going over it in this call. The reason that we have a lot of those trainings or these requirements is not to be a burden. It's not meant to be prohibitive. It's really, Hailey and I sat down and we're like, what are the things that need to happen before the training, at the training, and after the training that's going to set your group up for the most success? So we've tried to do all that front loading work of figuring out the timeline and lessons learned that we've had from doing this on way too rushed of a schedule last time. So trying to use a little bit of that experience. So they're really not meant to be prohibitive, just to set you up for success. The other thing that I think is important to note is that getting your students ready so that they are confident and ready to have a successful presentation takes a lot of work. So we hope that these requirements really set your group up for success in that, and know that the training is not a one and done thing. Your group is not going to be able just to come to the training and then the following week be ready to go and present in a group. There's stuff that needs to happen before the training, stuff at the training. We're going to go over a lot of things, and then you're going to have some follow-up meetings as well. So hopefully these requirements make that pretty clear. Also, this training is going to be so great. I think about this for fun all the time, all the fun activities that we're going to do with your youth. But we can't cover everything that needs to be covered in just a one-day training. The other part of that is your group is going to be taking some of the modules and putting it together to make their own unique presentation. So you're not going to get just a template, talk about these 5 things. Your group is going to look at all of the different things that are talked about and be like, what's relevant to us? What are the things that we want to talk about? What do we think is most important?
Yeah. To give you a little bit of background, when Beth and I did this pilot training with Cedar Woolley last year, I think we planned for 2 evening trainings that were each like 2.5 to 3 hours. And then we ended up being like, we need another one. And so that's kind of why we're asking that some pre-work gets done and that you anticipate that this is a process, not just a one and done training, because we can't fit it all into one day, unfortunately. And we also recognize that kids aren't cookie cutter. And so we have to treat each population that we're presenting to differently based on their needs and their strengths. And so we want you to be looking forward to taking the bits and pieces that your group found to be the most helpful and then creating the best presentation for the middle schoolers or classes that you will be presenting to.
Yeah. And the last bit about why we have all these training requirements is, this is Pilot 2.0. And so we really want to reserve the training space for the groups who are ready. And that doesn't mean that this is a group that has a lot of experience. It's okay if you're new, but at least have the readiness to take on this pretty long and intensive process. So that's a little bit just of background of the training requirements and why they exist. And we hope that you see them as helpful. And all these requirements too, it's like, if there's something that's not a fit for your group, email us and be like, hey, this training requirement, it's not working for us. For example, we had a group reach out and ask if they could bring 7. And I think that they had maybe 7 people in their group. So why would they just exclude one person? So totally, that's an example of how you would want to modify some of these requirements. So just reach out to us if there's any questions about the requirements as we're going through.
One thing I forgot to mention in our introduction too is that really the people who benefit the most from peer-to-peer education is the peer educators, not necessarily, it's great for the students who are receiving the presentation, but the ones that research shows have the most benefit and positive impact from are the peer educators. So kind of keeping that in mind, that maybe you don't have the most perfect timed out presentation at the end, but your group has really come together and worked together as a team and bonded. And so that's kind of our goal. So we'll kind of go through each of these pre-training checklist requirements. If you have questions, please let us know. The first is to identify 3 to 6 students, which you all know when you registered. Who to recruit, we're asking for primarily high school students because that's who it was piloted with, and the presentation curriculum was developed for middle schoolers. Mature 8th graders are fine too. we think that if you do have middle school students, that it would be best to present to maybe sixth graders who are at another school, because of that, how it's developed, how the curriculum's developed, and all of that. So we also want students who are interested in growing their presentation skills. Sometimes students are like, yeah, I want to go to training. I want to get out of school for the day. And then they're like, wait, I have to talk in front of people. And this is all very much presentation based. So being upfront with your students about that ahead of time and letting them know that that is the expectation, and it is a training where it's activities based. We're going to be up and moving, interacting. So
they don't have to be great at presenting now.
No.
We'll work on that with them, but they just have to be interested in talking to large groups
and growing. We also would like students who can commit to the expectations or those peer responsibilities, which we will go through in a couple of slides. And is there, oh, sorry, I'm jumping ahead. Permission forms. So we have permission forms. As I said before, we're waiting to send those out via email because we want to solidify our location first. You want those to be turned in for the January training by the 9th of January. So if you're signed up for the January training, you have just a little over a month to identify those youth and get those permission forms in. And then for the February training, they need to be turned in by February 7th. Is there anything else from your experience that would be important as far as what students you're looking to bring for this training?
Right, so I want to figure out how I can just quickly unmute everyone. Let's see. Where'd that button go? Unmute all. Bear with me for one moment. Let's see here. How do I unmute all? Okay, maybe what we'll do, since I'm struggling to find, not that. Since I'm struggling to find the unmute all button. So I'm just gonna ask a question to the group, and if you would like to share, just type in the, or actually, no, because Julie can't unmute herself either. I'm just gonna manually unmute everyone. So if you, I'm gonna restate that question. So for those of you, especially who have experience doing this, who have been the really great people who you've recruited in the past, like what have you looked for? Who's been really successful? Do you have any tips at recruitment to share to the group? So everyone should be unmuted now.
This is Christine.
Yeah, Christine, go ahead.
One thing I learned last year is I had a student who she was a great presenter. She was really committed, but she was involved in so many things that she did the training, but that she couldn't actually do the presentations.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. We do have a commitment form that we hope will help with this, so that you'll be able to adapt, so that people know ahead of time what their commitments are before coming to the training. But that's a really good point. Does that student have the capacity to actually participate in the full process?
This is Julie. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'd like to share about our introverts. A lot of our introverts feel that they aren't empowered to be able to get up there and share, and pulling the strength from our introverts and letting them know how important their voice is, because they're the ones that quietly sit and listen and take it all in. They're actually more knowledgeable a lot of times than the outgoing out extroverts.
Yeah, absolutely. And can be amazing presenters too, especially when there's preparation.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I think that that's a really important piece, is letting them know that it's okay if you're not comfortable getting up in front of a group right now. That's kind of what we're working towards. That's the end result. But the process as a small group, and then also the training, is hopefully going to be enough to prepare them to feel empowered to get up in front of a group. And I think too, sometimes it's easier for people to feel confident presenting when they know it's going to be to peers who are younger than them.
Yeah.
It kind of puts them in that role model role.
Yeah. Great thoughts, Julie. Thank you so much for sharing. Others from the group, Shayla and Angie, if you wanted to type anything too to share, I know your sound is struggling. Just things to keep in mind when we're recruiting or who to reach out to. Other thoughts on that? Okay. Well, I think we'll move on from this slide, but if other things come up, other ideas that you have, feel free to type it in the chat box and we'll make sure to read it out. Thank you so much for sharing. I think those are two really, really important points. Okay.
Okay, so the next kind of thing on the checklist is meeting with students prior to the training. We suggest at least 2 meetings. You can do more if you want, just depends on your capacity and the capacity of your students. And we will kind of jump over to the manual to show you where these next things are for the meeting content. One of the things is to watch the Being a Role Model TED Talk that I spoke about previously, and we have some debrief questions in there just to go through that with your group and really kind of start prepping them for that position that they're going to be in. The responsibilities of peer educators.
Yeah, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull up the manual right now so you can find out where these things are. So the Being a Role Model, that TED Talk, and the whole lesson plan is under, so manual, Being a Role Model video. So that has access, that gives you a link to the YouTube video. And then we also have some discussion questions that you can ask your group. Of course, feel free to modify this. And then just kind of the summaries of what we want people to be taking away from that. It's such a good video. It's really, really cute. So that's one thing we want you to do before the training. What was the other one?
The responsibilities.
Yeah.
And again, one of the things on there I already know that some of you may need to modify is that being a high school student. And so if you are bringing middle school students, please feel free to download and edit this.
And you're not accountable to Hailey.
Yes.
Your name will go there.
Yes. Attending both peer educator trainings. Well, so this again,
So you'll have to modify this. Yeah.
It'll be attending your previous meetings and at the training, completing and submitting forms to your adult advisor, communicating with your adult advisor, presentation practices, etc.
So feel free to modify this document to fit your group, but it's just helpful to have at the beginning students sign on to these responsibilities. It's set ahead of time what's needed. And again, this is found in the manual under sample materials. I'm going to pull up really quick the checklist. So this is basically what we're going through right now. And within the checklist is also where you're going to find all of the documents in the manual. So for example, watch the role model video. We gave you the YouTube link, but also how to find it in the manual. Responsibilities of peer educators, you'll find that under sample materials. So we tried to lay everything out in this pre-training checklist where all of this information is summarized, and also where to find all those documents. I hope that makes sense. Maybe I'll open it up for questions. Let's see. Unmute. Let's see. I don't know how to unmute all. I don't know where it went before. Okay, so, mute. Let's see.
Can't we unmute on our side?
Oh, yeah. Oh, you can. Oh, great. Yeah. Do you have any questions, Christine?
No, that was my question.
Oh, that was great. So unmute and feel free to just interrupt us then if you have questions. That's probably going to be the easiest.
And the last little bullet still on that slide is practice icebreakers.
Haley, I can't hear you very well.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'll speak up.
Thank you.
So the last little bit on this one is to practice icebreakers. So we may be asking your group to lead an icebreaker during the training. If we do, we'll let you know either which one or a couple to choose from. Those can also be found in the manual. We will be doing some as a part of the training, but feel free to use those with your other groups. Like I know with the group that I work with, even if we're only bringing 3 to 6 of the students, I could have those 3 to 6 students practice it on our larger group. So definitely be looking for those. And then completing the paperwork. So the pre-survey went out today. The permission slips will be coming out, and then the commitment form or the responsibilities of peer educators. We ask that all the students who are attending sign that as well. And so if you could have all of that to us by the 9th in January, if you're attending that training, or the 7th in February.
Can I make one
Yes.
correction to that?
Yes.
That commitment form is actually just for you. We don't need a copy of that. That one that we talked about, that modify it, that's for you to keep so that you can reference, like, hey, you signed this thing. We talked about what the responsibilities are. We don't necessarily need that, but we do highly recommend that you do fill that out and have your kids read it. So we just need the pre-survey. You can either bring hard copies to the training, or when they're done, just mail them or email them to me. Scan and email is totally fine. And then again, the permission slips. That's how we know the names of the kids who are coming. Okay.
And not lastly, I said this earlier. Yeah. Participating in the post-training call in March. So lots of questions might come up as you go. As we've said, please email. We're open to feedback throughout the entire time. But really, this post-training call is a space for you all to connect again and share your successes and struggles with one another. Checking in on how that presentation progress is going. Maybe some of you are struggling to find a classroom to present to, or struggling to keep your kids engaged. It's really just a time for you all to share with one another. And if you're feeling like, hey, my group's doing great, we've already got our presentation scheduled, they're rock stars, I'm not spending my time doing this, please join, because you will be the expert that can help maybe someone who's struggling a little bit more. So that's really for you all, but we will help organize.
Yeah, again, we just see ourselves as the organizers. You all are the experts. You all are going to make this project great. So we hope that you'll be on that call.
And conducting at least one peer-to-peer training by the end of the school year. Of course, you can always do more. We'd love to hear that. But we also recognize that spring gets busy, and so we ask that you do at least one with your group. When Beth and I did this before, afterwards, we were like, we needed to schedule that a lot earlier because there's testing in the spring. It can be hard to connect with teachers. Sometimes it takes them a few days to get back to you, and when you're trying to squeeze something in at the end of the year, it can be really difficult. So I highly recommend even just starting those conversations with teachers now, and saying, hey, we're looking forward to doing this in the spring. Would your classroom be an option? And kind of anticipating that and giving them a heads up. Who to present to? We were a high school group, and we reached out to the SAP at the middle school, and she connected us with a health teacher. So that was a really easy transition for us. So we recommend health or PE classes. I know that one adult advisor has already told me they're looking to present to the advisory classes at their schools. We just recommend that there's an age difference. And so if you do have 8th graders, if you could present to 6th graders that are at a different school, if that's possible, I think that would be a big benefit. One of the things that we included in our presentation that our students found to be really beneficial was a youth panel. And so that's where the younger students have a chance to ask anonymous questions to the older students about anything that they really want, but what high school is like, any of those types of questions. And so it might be a little odd if it's a 7th grader asking an 8th grader when they're at the same school. So just wouldn't flow as well. But if you're in that situation, we're happy to brainstorm with you and figure that out. But that's just what we recommend based on our experience.
Yeah, I'm just gonna, so that panel was, seemed to have the most impact, because the kids basically get to, the students who they're presenting to get to ask questions to this panel. It's so nice for them to just be able to ask, hey, I hear everyone is using drugs at the high school, is that true? And then the high schoolers get a chance to establish those norms and say, actually, we're all too busy doing sports and applying to colleges and working on our creativity, or whatever it is. Like, actually most kids don't. And so it ends up being a really cool way to help with those transitions from middle school to high school, or elementary school to middle school. So that panel is really cool, and that's why it's helpful to have there's 2 different age groups, 2 different schools, because they get a chance to establish the norm ahead of time. So that's kind of the science behind that.
And we kind of want to open it up to you all now. I'm not sure if you've thought about where you want to present to, but just if you have other ideas of what populations you'll be presenting to, we'd love to hear that, and let the other groups maybe benefit from your ideas.
Yeah, so either in the chat box or feel free to unmute yourself if you have any ideas of where you would like to. And Julie, I'll just unmute you, and you can talk if you want. If you have other ideas of where you'd want to present. And Shayla and Angie, I'd love to hear from you too, because I think yours is going to look a little different. So I'd love to hear if you want to share. We'll give people a few minutes.
I'll do
Christine.
it really quick because I'm actually driving on the boat right now.
Oh, great, Julie. Thank you.
So a couple of quick things. Our freshmen are probably we're going to start with our 6th and 7th grade advisory classes, because advisory actually gives 45 minutes. And so that would be a really good place to have the single age group all in one spot. I'm not sure that we're going to present to our 8th graders as of yet, because it's only 9th graders presenting to 8th graders, and it doesn't carry necessarily the same clout.
Right.
The piece that you said about, we do a piece where it's not a focus on anything other than what high school is like, and we do that for our high school students, come in and talk with our 8th graders who are going to be freshmen the following year, because they are terrified about coming into high school.
Love that.
One thing that we have done that has worked really well is ask the teacher. They're very comfortable with their teacher, and we do this. Their science/health teacher does that, and we ask them to write it on sticky notes, and we put a sticky note on. We ask her to do it because she's already created this environment where it's a safe space for the kids to feel comfortable around her. And we put a sticky note on everybody's desk, and then ask them to write a question for them. And then I calculate all the questions and put the ones that are similar, give it to the high school students in advance, and make sure that we have a good representation of multiple kids, like sports kids, music kids, academic kids, things like that, answering sometimes the same question, because it's a very different mindset.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for that, Julie. Those are really, really great ideas. We should talk more and see if there's things that we would want to include in the manual from your experience, like with the sticky notes and stuff, because I really like that a lot. In advisory, that sounds like a perfect place to present. Christine asked the group if it's appropriate for middle schoolers to present to 5th graders when they're practically 6th graders, and that you've had success as this was a recruitment tool. I mean, I think, yeah, let's look at all of the materials together and make sure that you feel it's appropriate for your 5th graders.
I think it wasn't necessarily designed to be given to 5th graders, but you know your school and students better than we do. And so, like Danika said, I think we look at the presentation materials, and you will be creating that presentation with your group. And so that can just be a topic of discussion when thinking about it and we go over that as who's your audience and how do we frame things for certain audiences. The way that we talk to kindergartners is very different than middle schoolers. So
absolutely. So I think you do have again, we're not trying to create parameters that are going to keep anyone in a box. So please adapt, but yeah, let's just talk through things as a group. And then Christine, can you expand on what you mean by service clubs?
Yeah, so like when I had tattoo, we would go to Rotary or Kiwanis and give the kids an opportunity to present to adults too, which is also helpful because when they asked for money, the people already knew who they were.
Oh, good one. I love that.
I think that could be fun too. Get some of the people in Rotary up and moving, doing some of the activities.
And I haven't heard from Shayla and Angie, but I'll just share from what we've talked with them about that. They have their own after school group, and I might not be getting this exactly right, so please feel free to correct me if I'm not on, but they have their own after school group where they have been doing tattoo it sounds similar to a Boys and Girls Club, and then they go and present to the younger grades. So it doesn't have to just be at school. That is absolutely for sure. Although school tends to be a natural place to get a bunch of kids of a grade together with a captive audience. So again, feel free to continue to share thoughts and ideas on this topic as we're going through. But we're going to move on. Boys and Girls Club absolutely could bring groups to the training. Absolutely. Thank you, Christine, for asking that. Okay, the next thing is evaluation. So we do ask that you help us with the evaluation process. So step one of the evaluation is just this process evaluation of one being on the calls, and that helps us to know, are people able to meet all of the requirements? And then the other evaluation that is just always ongoing is continuing to share your ideas as you're already doing to make this program better. Not only for your own group, for the other groups. So think of all of that as evaluation. But then we'll also have a more formal evaluation process just to start to try and measure effectiveness. And one thing that we ask is that you do a pre and post survey. So we've already submitted the pre-survey. So if you know who your kids are, you can administer that pre-survey as soon as possible. And again, scanning and emailing that to me is great. You can also bring hard copies to the training. Really, whatever is easiest, just try and get me that free survey. And then once you've completed your project, you'll give them the same, I'll probably adapt it a little bit, but a post survey. So that doesn't exist yet, but just know that that post survey will also be out there. And we ask that you do that with your youth. We're exploring the idea of having the teacher in the room fill out an evaluation. I'm not sure if we're going to move forward with that. I welcome your ideas. We're not going to ask all of the students who are being presented to fill out an evaluation, because I don't think that 6th graders and 7th graders and 8th graders are great at filling out surveys. I don't think they necessarily take them seriously, and I just don't think that's a good way to evaluate effectiveness, especially because this is mostly geared towards the peer educators, so your high schoolers that we're going to be coming to the training. As far as the YEMPEP reporting, we do ask that you send us the number of presentations that you conduct and the number of students reached, and this will probably be in some sort of a survey monkey that will be really easy for you to fill out. Again, this one doesn't exist yet, but just know that this is coming, so please track the number of presentations you do. And it doesn't have to be exact. It's like, oh yeah, it was a class of about 25 kids. Totally fine. And then we already talked about this ongoing evaluation. So please continue to share, participate with us throughout this process. And I loved this comic. I don't know if anyone read it yet, but it definitely made me laugh. It says, "You've had enough monkey see, Edwards. We want some monkey do," which I just thought was hilarious. So no boring webinars as far as I'm concerned. Okay, next slide. Maybe. Click it. There we go. No. Okay, so a few of you have asked us about money, which is great. So I have good news for you. Funds are available to support your group. I don't know exactly how many funds are available. We should know that pretty soon because we wanted to wait to see how many people registered, because that definitely affects how much money that we can give out. But these funds go to support transportation. Go to support transportation if you need it. If there are certain supplies that you need for your group to be successful, please let us know what those supplies are and we can order them for you. And then I'm also curious, I'm going to open up the floor again for questions. Are there other things that you can think of right now where it's like, gosh, we just need some money for XYZ so that we can do this? Is there anything else that you can think of besides transportation and supplies that we should be aware of? Swag? What kind of swag are you thinking?
Giveaway stuff, like when you do a class sometimes, or you give prizes, or
okay,
for participation.
Okay,
I don't know exactly what. I'd have to ask the kids.
Okay,
That's to give away when they're presenting to the younger grades.
Love that. Okay.
One thing I'll add too is you may find at the presentation or at the training that your group decides, well, we want to include this, icebreaker or this activity in our presentation, and so you might need funds for those supplies. So whether it's the refusal skills cards or the beach ball with questions on it as one of the icebreakers, so that could come up too.
Can you guys pay for food?
Ooh, that's a good question. So this is food for probably when you're meeting with your groups.
Yeah, or like an end of the year celebration.
Or an end of the year celebration. Okay, we'll look into that. That's a great thought.
Yeah. Food's always the hardest.
Yeah.
We will check.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Anything else that you can think of that you might want some funding to support? And again, usually we don't know the answers to whether we can or can't. We'll look into it. Okay, again, feel free to chime in if you think of something later. And the process of acquiring these funds will be emailed out to you all. So we're working with Alyssa and Carol to figure out the best process for dispersing these funds. Likely it will be us paying for things for you. But again, I'm not exactly sure how that's going to look. Okay. So the day of the training, yay! This is the good stuff. I am so excited about this training. This is going to be very, very hands-on. From the moment that the kids walk through the door, there's going to be activities for the kids. We have been at enough trainings, both as adults and with youth, to know activities are extremely important for engagement and also for their learning. So pretty much every component has a hands-on component to it, an activities-based component. And so we're really excited about it. It's going to be a lot of fun. These are the modules listed here that we will be covering in the training. So just know that if you're going through the manual and wanting to get a head start, know that all of these things are going to be covered. So we're going to be doing a group craft, kind of going over group roles. So that looks like who plays the role of the leader and who plays the role of the scribe, or just different things like that we'll go over in a fun way with the group. We'll probably cover 3 of the 5 icebreakers, and again, be prepared to have your group potentially do an icebreaker. We will let you know with plenty of time if you're going to be leading an icebreaker at the training, but we just thought that would be a really fun way to already get the kids practicing presenting to a group. We'll be going over some marijuana education, largely through the UCAN website. We're going to do the Know Your No, which is essentially know why you choose not to use marijuana, in essence. We'll do a social norms piece. We'll go over presentation skills. So we'll do some practicing of presentation skills. But again, this isn't something that they can just come and do an hour-long module on presentation skills and have great presentation skills. So you will need to continue to work with your kids on their presentation skills. We'll be going over a media literacy component, and then also talking through with your group of how to assemble your presentation. Because again, it's customizable. Your group is going to decide which icebreakers to include, which modules to present on. And so working with your groups to be strategic in how you put those things together. It's looking like these trainings are going to be 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock. So it is a full day training. Lunch will be provided. And then as far as locations, so we have the location for the January training, and it will be at the Burlington Public Library. And then part of the reason we waited on the locations was to see where all of the groups were and where they registered for the training, because hey, if we only had San Juan Island register for the February training, we would just go to San Juan Island. So that's why we have been waiting on the locations, because we want it to be strategic for the groups who registered for the days. So again, Burlington for the January training, and then the February training, it's looking like Anacortes, but it's not confirmed yet. So those are the 2 likely locations.
Something I want to just add to with the assembling your presentation. When we presented to the class, we knew it was one class period. It was 45 minutes. I think I heard Christine say that they have about 45 minutes. So knowing or having a general idea of where you're going to be presenting to and how long will help in that section of the training when we talk about assembling your presentation. Because if you know you have 45 minutes to fill, you can't do everything. And so either talking about how to shorten some of the activities or how to strategically pick which ones will be the most effective in the time frame that you have. So knowing that ahead of time can be helpful.
Are we unmuted?
Go for it. Yeah, I can hear someone.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Julie, go ahead.
This is Julie. I'm wondering, with the pieces that you're offering at the training, to me, I'm looking at all of this as far as what I could do in advance to kind of help prep them for the training piece. And I would think presentations, like some of the group has talked about, as far as sometimes kids get overwhelmed with doing the presentation. So that would be one thing that we would kind of focus on. What do you see out of this list that you're going to be doing that might be helpful if we kind of went through the modules with them in advance? Because that'll be an area where you feel like they could use a little bit of an extra boost before they come in. Is there anything stand out to you for that list?
Out of the list that we put that we will cover, not too much. I think that we will try our best to cover them thoroughly during the presentation. The one thing I would say is presentation skills are something that can always be practiced. We can practice them to be better at them. So if you want to go through that module with them, you can, just letting them know and knowing in advance that we will be going through that again. But if you have other presentation skill activities, things that you've done before, I say go for it. Especially if you're one that gets asked to lead one of the icebreakers.
So, like, will you be talking about the Healthy Youth Survey with them as far as going through that as well?
Yes, yeah. So for the social norms piece, and we'll get kind of into that in the next slide, but we do ask that you bring some of your Healthy Youth Survey data because when we're talking about social norms, there will be a little bit of an activity to identify what the social norms of your school are, or at least of your school district, depending on what data you have. So that could be good to get them comfortable with it. We will be leading that activity. So for the groups who might not be as experienced as your group, Julie, that everyone will have that chance to be able to learn there. So yeah, I think presentation skills is always something.
Kids always benefit from hearing things more than once too. You probably just don't want to go through everything with them because then they might be like, we've already done all this.
Yeah.
So we want to let them know which things we would be covering.
So yeah, icebreakers and presentation skills. Yeah. And then maybe start going through Healthy Youth Survey data, but yeah. But then there's also the group roles and that role model video too.
And please feel free to look around that manual, and if there's activities in there that you're wanting to do with your group or you're wanting to make sure that we cover or you cover, please feel free to reach out and ask anytime.
Yeah. Okay. I can't remember.
Thank you.
So this last slide here is just kind of a recap of all of the things to get ready in preparation for the training. So make sure your permission slips are turned in on time. Make sure you complete and turn in the pre-survey. Again, whatever is easiest for you, just let me know if you're going to bring hard copies or if you're going to mail those to me. Email those. Who mails? Don't mail. I mean, you can, but email them. So we just talked about bringing your local marijuana data to the training. Healthy Youth Surveys district data is great. If you have the school building, that could work too. But gather that and bring that to the training because you will be looking over that. One additional thing, and again, this is all on your checklist, is especially if you're not super familiar with social norms, there's a great, just kind of a one-pager. Is it 2 pages? I think it's 1 page. Just on social norms as a summary, which is a good background for you as the adult advisor to understand the science behind social norms. So we ask that you read that, especially if you're feeling unfamiliar with social norms. Be prepared to participate with your group and potentially look a little bit silly. It's a super fun training, but you're gonna maybe be stretched a little bit with your group. And again, everything that you need to remember, like as far as all of these requirements, we've compiled. And let me actually just pull that up really quick. The pre-training checklist, which again was mailed out to you and is also in the manual. So we basically have that all covered here. So you don't have to just have taken great notes or remember on your own. So just make sure all of these things are done before the training. All right. Now we open it up to questions for the group, and I'm so excited. It's 9 o'clock. We were hoping to get through our stuff at 9, and we're right on time. So what questions do you all have?
We covered a lot.
Yeah, I know. That was kind of like a fire hose of information. Oh, looks like we've got something in the chat. Oh, it looks like we've covered everything. Oh man, if we can finish this call early, I would be more than happy about that, because I know I'm going to be seeing quite a few of you in Anacortes soon. Oh, can we bring more than 6? Yeah, so let's talk. Shayla, I think your group is probably, it's pretty experienced. More than 6 might be fine. So let's just shoot me an email and let's talk about what that could look like. I think if you're going to bring more than 6, please at least have 2 adults with your group, just as far as like the herding cats and potentially breaking into smaller groups within that larger group would be good. But yeah, we're definitely open to that as a possibility. So please email me how many you're thinking and what that could look like. I want to know, can the red dot ever be caught? I don't think it can be caught.
I've never seen it. I guess I just want to highlight again the evaluation process, and that we aren't the experts. We are learning as we go alongside of you all. And so keeping kind of the components that we covered in this call in mind throughout the entire process. And then, you know, when we're in March doing our post call, we want to hear, was that pre-training call effective? Did that help me? What other things did I wish that they would have covered ahead of time? All that type of stuff. So we're very open to feedback. We're very open to finding ways to make things more culturally competent. And so please let us know anything that we can improve on, or ways that we can assist you and your group throughout this process, because it is a process, not just one and done. So we really appreciate all of you getting on here at 8 a.m. on Monday morning of Thanksgiving week. I look forward to seeing a few of you in just a couple of hours. And for those of you who we don't see, I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving or holiday break. And reach out if you have any questions that come up later.
Yeah, we're so excited to be on this journey with you all. So thanks for being a part of this, and we're excited to learn, and seriously cannot wait for these presentations, for this trainings. I think it's going to be loads of fun, loads and loads of fun. So, all right, I guess we will end the call, and email us with additional questions that you have. Call us, and for those of us who will see in Anacortes in a couple hours, we will see you then. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, and